when people see this book, I want them to embrace it and be like, yes, this can be me as a woman of color, as someone who's coming from a background where I didn't have a lot, as someone who's navigating, financial trauma, whatever it is, whatever life has thrown at you. I want you to look at things like that and be like, you know what? I can achieve this. I want you to embrace the idea.
Welcome to the Your Next Move podcast, the show for high-performing professionals who want to be seen for their brilliance, speak with influence, and accelerate their path to leadership. I'm your host, Kimberly Brown, international career and leadership expert, keynote speaker, and best-selling author of Next Move, Best Move. Welcome, Bola. I am so excited to have you. I am officially, I told you before, and I'm going to say it now, that I'm going to call you my millionaire friend, like my rich friend, because now you've told the world, so I don't have to act like I don't know. Now the world knows that you are. But for anyone who does not know who you are, I would love for you to just tell us who you are, what Clever Girl Finance is, and why you're on a mission to help women and money.
Yes, so my name is Bola Sokunbi. I am an author, a speaker, an investor, and the founder of Clever Girl Finance, like you mentioned. Clever Girl Finance is a financial education platform for women, and we're all about empowering women to get to the point where they're living life on their own terms and they're making the best financial decisions for themselves that work in line with the lives that they want for themselves. And I'm really passionate about my mission and my business just based on my background growing up. My mom was a big role model. I watched her as a little girl, navigate friendships and relationships and go back to school. My mom got married very young. She was 19 years old. She married a guy in his 30s that had PhDs, was pursuing PhDs, and she only had her high school diploma. And as time progressed and she got older, she started to see things that made her uncomfortable. I remember one time, and it's one of those memories that stays with you from childhood, where I was in the corner of the living room and my mom had a friend over who was there with her kids and suitcases, and she wanted to stay the night at our house because she had nowhere to go. I don't know if it was an abusive relationship or a divorce, but she just wanted out. And our home was the only option because she had no money and, as a result, no other options. So my mom looked at that situation and other situations and realized I don't ever want to find myself in this space. And so in her 30s, she decided to go back and get her college degree, got her master's degree. I went to her college classes with her as a little girl. And funny enough, we had the same professor in college when I ended up going to the same college. But she got all of that and started working as an investment banker. She started many side hustles and just in seeking a better life, eventually migrated to the US, where she had to start over working as a nanny and a nurse's aide, taking care of rich people's kids because her degrees and all of that didn't translate. And, just some additional context, both of my parents are first generation everything. So, first to go to grade school, high school, college, and they came out carrying this big responsibility of, based on our culture, of taking care of their extended family, so siblings and cousins and other distant relatives, even up until today. And so just seeing that with my mom, I realized that, I wanted to do all of my money. I wanted to have options. And in talking to my own friends as I got older, I would see my friends navigating life situations, being single mothers, navigating divorces, navigating difficult relationships, earning more money than they've ever had before. And so the conversation about money, which I love talking about, is something that I was having very often. And that in some kind of way led to me pursuing Clever Girl Finance.
I love that story. And I think that women having their own money is such an important thing that we don't talk about enough. And when we do talk about it, it's always from a circumstance of seeing someone else who went through it poorly. And it's like, oh my gosh, I have to get my stuff together. I started my career, I think my second job after college, I was a banker at JP Morgan Chase. And I worked in a very high net worth area. Everybody had more money than me. And I remember looking at this woman's accounts and she had 14 million in her own personal account. And she was just like, don't you ever make everybody joint. Always have your stuff on
Your
the
own money.
side. And coincidentally, around the same time, I had another client who was going through a nasty divorce and her soon to be ex-husband, because you have to keep joint accounts for some reasons for legal stuff in that process. He would take money when the bills were coming out and then put it back after. It was just financial abuse of just creating stress. He's like,
Oh,
oh, I'm
wait, so
not
she
withdrawing.
wouldn't, it would look like there was no money to pay the bills?
Mhm. So he'd make sure that everything was late. It's like, oh, the mortgage is coming up. I'm going to take out everything and I'll put it back like 10 days later. It was just and she had no money. She was dependent on that until everything settled and she got alimony. And I remember seeing this and sitting with her in the bank. And I remember like, oh my gosh, like I always have to make sure I have my own. I always have to make sure. And that's something that I'm very passionate about thinking about and working on. And I love as we think about your progression, because first of all, this is not your first book. This is your sixth.
Yes,
Sixth.
technically my seventh, six
Woo,
titles, seven books. Because
wild.
I expanded and updated my first book.
Excuse me. Oh my goodness. That is, did you, when you started Clever Girl Finance, was being an author one of the goals originally, or was it something that kind of evolved over time? And then with the books, did you think you'd be writing this many?
No, it never crossed my mind in terms of author with Clever Girl Finance. I mean, I have a fiction book that I wrote maybe like 15 years ago. It has 37,000 words, never completed it, and that was as far as I thought I was going to get with authorship. I should complete that book one day. It's fiction.
Make
But
it
with Clever
eight.
Girl Finance, it never occurred to me to to write a book. I didn't imagine myself writing books. I thought I started my first book without having a book deal, and I did it because I was like, oh, it'd be cool to have a book, but that was where the thought ended.
Mm, And then now
So
you
it's
have seven.
interesting. Yeah, and every time I read a book, I'm like, I'm never writing another one again, ever.
That and honestly, like I wrote one in 2021. I'm still slowly but surely trucking on the second one because I tell people the book writing process is a nightmare. Like it is so much. You get tired of hearing your own voice, tired of reading your own words. I used to read it backwards just to make sure I caught things. It's a lot. So for you to have done it seven times, that's
Yes,
very, very, very impressive. So when we
it
think
is.
about this like upcoming book, Clever Girl Millionaire, that is bold. And I love that you added millionaire to the title. What do you want women in particular to feel when they read that title and they see it in the bookstore?
I want them to feel that the dream, the vision they have can be a reality and it can go from possibility to reality. I think a lot of times when people hear the word millionaire, they immediately separate themselves from it and they distance themselves from it because it feels so out of reach. It feels so out of touch, especially when you're looking at everything being sensationalized on social media and you're assuming that these type of things happen overnight and nobody in my family has done this and why should I be the one to do this? But why not you, right? And the idea of being wealthy, of millionaire, whatever your vision is, your biggest goal should be something that you embrace, right? And just set the plans to work towards it, knowing that it is going to take time and the journey is not going to be easy, but it is a possibility and it can become a reality for you if you want it bad enough. So I want women to stop detaching from that level of success, whatever it is they desire, because they think it's not for them or because they haven't seen it in their space before. I mean, growing up, like I said, my parents were first generation everything, right? Which means they were the first to do everything. And that means everybody else around us was poor. They were looking up to my parents for the tuition, for the rent, for the meals. We had people in our house all the time because my parents were the first. And so I knew of rich people, but it's not like I was sitting down and having conversations with them and like, oh, tell me how you got your money. They were so far out of reach. But I realized that, you know what? I want to set a goal for myself and I want to see if I can achieve this. I want to see, if I can get there. And I worked hard to make it a possibility for myself. When people see this book, I want them to embrace it and be like, yes, this can be me as a woman of color, as someone who's coming from a background where I didn't have a lot, as someone who's navigating, financial trauma, whatever it is, whatever life has thrown at you, I want you to look at things like that and be like, you know what, I can achieve this. I want you to embrace the idea.
One of the things I love about you and Clever Girl Finance is that, and similar to, I guess, my brand, maybe it's why we get along, but I'm not big on like the motivational, inspirational content. I'm very much like, no, 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 this is what you need to do. What are the steps, the prompts, the exercises? Like, how do we get this done and make it a reality? I can tell you my story and it can motivate you, but now we need to tell you how to do it. And I feel
Mm.
like that's really one of the things about your finance brand that I love. It is very tangible, like go take action. So, what were you seeing women do or not do with financial content that told you like we need something different here especially when we're talking about building wealth?
Yeah, so especially when I started, I think the biggest thing with women and money was just the shame around it and the embarrassment around it. Oh, I don't know, so I don't want to sound stupid. I don't want to ask questions. And it's not because we are stupid. We are incredibly smart. We do better with money than our male counterparts. Statistics have proven that. But it's just the idea that, money is not a woman's place that has been embedded so deep into society and cultural spaces that, in a way, even if that's not what our parents wanted to teach us, many of us grew up thinking that, oh, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. So it was that idea of shame and embarrassment around money, even when we're doing well with it. It was the burden that women carried around the mistakes that they made. Like we carry our mistakes so much heavier than our male counterparts, especially when it comes to money. I wanted to change that. As women, we talk about everything. We talk about hair, makeup, sex, reality TV, all kinds
All
of
of it.
stuff. But why were we not talking about money as much? This is a very important conversation, right? And women are in that space, especially in this generation, when you compare it to our mothers and our grandmothers' generation, we're earning more money than our mothers and grandmothers, even with that gender wage gap that still needs a lot of work. Many women are choosing not to get married. Many women are sole household earners or breadwinners, single mothers. So we're in this space where we have to take ownership of our money because we are in these spaces, right? So that's for me what I was seeing and why I thought it was very important to normalize it. And it's okay to have fun talking about money, to laugh at our mistakes. It's not all about blue and gray and black, which is how I imagine, which is how I see today's financial institutions.
Yes, yes.
Very masculine. It's okay to be feminine with your money and do amazing with your money and embrace your mistakes and learn the lessons from those mistakes and empower your children and talk about it.
Yeah. You brought up a really good point about how just the times are changing for the things that women are doing by themselves now. Like
Yeah.
historically, we always had to rely on someone else, most likely a man, to make sure that they provided for us, took care of us, bought land, all the things. Like I have a girlfriend this year who decided to have a baby on her own.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at her, I would tell her all the time, like, girl, like, I'm so proud of you. Like, you wanted it, you went and did it. Like, years ago, something like that would have been unheard of.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. You'd
now
have
it's
you'd
like,
have been you get the scarlet letter on your
yes, 100% burned at the stake for even thinking a thought like that. But that's not uncommon. I saw an Instagram account the other day that is all about this woman taking control of her life. And she's like, nope, I think she moved to like somewhere on the water. She's
hmm
like, I'm not getting married. She's like, I'm not even dating. She's like, I am just like living a soft life and being happy and taking care of myself, spending my money how I want to. And I think that narrative, I think, is also really important. It's really important that you can do whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah, I think it's so important. I think also women are stepping into their own, and the world needs to be accepting of it as well, right? There is still that narrative out there, especially when it comes to successful women or successful women of color, that some man somewhere behind the scenes is responsible for this success that she has. And that is so untrue. I see it all the time. Just look at social media comments, you see a successful woman, and it's like, oh, yeah, it's because she's married to such and such. It's because she dated such and such. It's because we can own our own success because we are making it happen for ourselves. It doesn't have to be attributed to anybody. And so I always say that I love it when Clever Girl Finance has allies, right? Because when you understand that women can achieve things, then it helps to broaden the conversation and it helps for you to look at women as your partners and your equal, not just, someone that you think some guy has helped come up, which is very untrue.
Absolutely, absolutely. Something that you mentioned and you talk about the millionaire mindset, you say that it's something that you have to sow seeds for. What does that mean?
I think it's really the belief that you can achieve something. And it's not about knowing exactly how you're going to get there, right? When I first started my financial journey, I didn't know I was going to start a business or write a book or achieve a certain net worth or anything. I just knew that I made $54,000 before taxes. I had no money, even though I thought I had money. I was failing at investing because I didn't know what I was doing. But in my head, I was like, Bola, you can do this. You can figure this out. And sowing the seeds is just really adopting a positive mindset. It sounds a little woo woo, but it makes all the difference because you can think positively about something. I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to go through my day. I'm going to save the little dollars I have. I'm going to do my best at work. I'm going to get the raises. Or you can think negative. Woe is me. I hate my job. I hate my boss. I don't get paid enough. And what I found, and I've been in that space where I've had woe is me moments, even now, because your mindset and maintaining a positive mindset is something that you have to constantly maintain. And what I found is that when I'm in those woe is me moments, when opportunities come by, big opportunities, small opportunities, they pass me by because I'm like, you know what? What's the point of doing this? This is not big enough. This is not something I want to do. It is uncomfortable, but the opportunity is staring me right in the face. I'm like, no, I don't want it because I can't see the positive side of it, right? And it's the way I always use the example, like when I walk past and I see a dollar in the street, I see money on the street, I immediately pick it up. But there are people who will walk past and be like, who cares about a penny? What can a penny do for me? What can a dollar do for me, right? But that's a penny more and a dollar more than I had before. And it's small, but those things compound because you're thinking like that all the time, then you're open to those opportunities. And when they come by, you grab them. It's like having a conversation with your boss about getting a raise or getting more vacation days or whatever it is that relates to your career. You either go in there and have the conversation, or you're like, what's the point of having the conversation? I know he's not going to give me the raise. I know I'm not going to get promoted this year. But you're not allowing yourself to be open to the opportunity because you're immediately dismissing it. So yes, you have to sow the seeds to mindset. You have to maintain them. You have to nourish that mindset and be mindful of what you're consuming and how you're letting people influence your mindset, because you might have an idea of what you want to achieve. But then the people around you are like, please, why do you think you're going to do that? Let's go out, girl. Let's do this. Oh, don't waste your time. Nobody has done that. Oh, that's a stupid idea. And before you know it, you're like, oh, yeah, I agree. That is a stupid idea. So your mindset, I think, is something that is very important to maintain and nurture, and also keep close to your chest. Not everybody needs to know what your goals are. Not everybody needs to know what your plans are or what you're trying to pursue, because not everybody will understand it. But what I found incredibly interesting is that when you get to the other side, everybody wants to know how you did it. I
Yes.
remember at the early stages of my business, people were like, "Oh, that's cute. Oh, that's." And one of my aunts was like, "Oh, is your husband not working anymore? What is this business?"
So offensive.
So, yeah, mindset is so important. I hope I answered the question.
No, you did. You did. And I think that, so my company used to be called Manifest Yourself, as you know. And I feel like I
Mm.
used to get questions all the time on like the art of manifestation. I was like, you didn't go to my website. Like, that's not what I talk about. Like, I talk about career stuff. But one of the things that I talk to my clients about, we get woo-woo and we talk about those things, that you have to have like a core belief, even if
Yes.
you're not sure that it's possible, but you have to believe that whatever you want, whatever goal you have is possible. Because if you
Yes.
read on the law of manifestation and all of that woo-woo stuff, because I do believe in it, I'm like, if you read on that, your body is only going to accept whatever you truly believe. So if you truly believe that you are broke and you'll never be a millionaire, you're going to self-sabotage yourself and you're going to continuously like lower your set point. I think, what's the book? I think it's The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. He
I have
talks
that book
about
on
like
my
the
Kindle.
temperature. And it's how like we all have a temperature that it's set to. So let's say it's 72. The second things start getting a little hot for you, you get to 73, 74. Sometimes you do something to bring yourself back down to your set point. And we do that with our goals and our mindset. If we think, ooh, oh my God, I got too much money in my bank account. Why all
Let
of a
me
sudden
spend
did
it
you rack up
all.
credit card debt? Exactly. You went right to Short Hills Mall and you're all the good stores and you lower your set point, rack up some more debt. And that's because your core belief is that you can't be a millionaire, you can't invest, you aren't a good steward of your money. So, Mike, I tell folks, even though it is woo woo, I'm like, no, no, no. I'm like, I don't care what you believe. You have to have a core belief that what you want is possible. And I think, especially when it comes to money. And one of the things I love that you also talk about is you talk about spending intentionally and also minimizing debt and investing. So, when you think about this balance, how are you teaching folks about this, especially as it relates to like building wealth? Because I feel like those are three things. And it's like, how do we do them all at the same time? Most of the time, it's either like we're investing everything, or we're paying down debt, or we're like spending all the money that we can. It's never really this balance of doing all three.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to what you said before. And there's a saying about that goes, whatever you believe about yourself is true. But
Yep.
you have the ability to change your beliefs. And people come for me all the time and say, oh, you're saying all these things, but my situation is this. And I am always like, listen, your situation is this, but this is what the situation is. You know what your
Mhm.
situation is. What are you going to do differently? How do you want to think about it differently? We get to a point where we have to take ownership, especially as adults. We can't blame
Yes.
our parents for everything. We can't blame the man. We can't blame the system, because those things have happened. Yes, accountability is necessary. But now that you're in this space, how are you going to do things differently? Because guess what? whether you do or you don't, the time goes by anyway. So
Yes,
we
indeed.
really have to challenge ourselves to adjust our beliefs and adjust our mindsets based on what we believe is true for ourselves. Because again, whatever you believe is true for you and what you can
Mhm.
achieve, it is true. Now, when it comes to spending, debt, and investing, I think it's all about creating balance, right? And also thinking about the opportunity cost of time. So, time is going to go by anyway. And when it comes down to your finances and your investing and building wealth, you want to have time on your side. Not to say that if you're starting late, it's not possible. You can build wealth at any age. We have seen people do it time and time again, but it's all about creating a balance and a strategy. So if you have debt, you're trying to save, you're trying to invest for your future self, you need to lay things out and really look at it objectively. Okay, this is my debt, this is the interest rates, this is what it's costing me, these are the minimum payments. You want to focus on paying more, as much more than the minimum payments as you can, so that you can get ahead of that compounding interest and be able to pay down that principal balance so that every time you pay more than the minimum, the next time your debt compounds, it's compounding in a lower principal balance, and that's how you pay off your debt. So with your debt, your goal is to pay more than the minimum. Now, you also want to have savings in place so that if life happens, as opposed to racking up your credit card again, you have cash to get out of that situation and leave those credit cards alone, right? And so having an emergency fund is super important. At the very minimum, you want to be able to have a foundational fund that helps you put groceries on the table, pay your core utilities, get you safe housing. So think about starting with that $1,500 that can help you pay a medical copay, change the tires on your car, do a quick oil change, help you buy an emergency plane ticket if you need to, and then think about expanding it to 3 to 6 months of your core essentials. And when I say core essentials, I mean your survival mode money. This is not getting our nails done, getting our hair done, buying new makeup. This is food, utilities, safe housing, core medications, and that is it. And when push comes to shove, we can all survive.
Are you sure?
Yes, we can. We can survive. Listen, when there was no baking yeast during the pandemic and people were losing their minds, nobody needed to eat that cake. I remember I wanted to bake something and I went online to order groceries online, and yeast that cost $1.99 was $37. I'm like, hell no. We don't need to eat any baked goods in this house. You guys can just eat the bread from the store.
You
So
are
we can
fine.
we can all survive. Yes. And then when it comes to investing, it's all about putting aside something, no matter how small, so that it can start working for you. And the great thing about investing is that your money is working for you when you're sleeping. And I'm specifically talking about investing in the stock market because this is the lowest barrier to entry. Many people can easily access this through employer sponsored plans like a 401k, 457b. If you do not have that, you can open your own Roth or traditional IRA and just start putting a small amount of money there that you build into your budget. So, like I said, it's all about creating that balance. And when it comes to debt, obviously, there are different kinds of debt. There's your student loans, there's your credit cards, there may be a car note, a mortgage. You want to prioritize your debt based on what's either costing you the most, what's stressing you out the most, or the smallest balance that you can eliminate the fastest. And like I said earlier, prioritize paying more than the minimum. Start putting money aside for savings, for emergencies if life happens. If you have kids, you want to also factor in their expenses, and then start putting money aside towards investing. I typically say if you're trying to pay off debt and you don't have emergency savings, just plan to put aside 5 to 10% of your income in investing, and then prioritize those other two categories, which are debt and spending. And with each of these things, it's very important that you build them as line items into your budget so that every time you get paid, you know, okay, this amount is going to debt, this amount is going to emergency savings, this amount is going towards investing. So you always know there is a category in my budget that accommodates this balance I've created to get ahead with my finances.
I so appreciate that. I feel like in talking to you, I feel like I'm embarrassed. We don't talk about like my money or
No shame, no
girl, I spend
judgment.
on vibes over here. Like it is vibes. Do I have a budget? Yes. But do I make it and then not look at it? Absolutely. Every single month. But all of these tips I think are so important and so tangible. What would you say to someone like me, like the vibe spender? Like I consider myself a high earner. Balancing all these things, it can feel so overwhelming when you have so many goals. Like I can say I have credit card debt, I have student loan debt, I do have an owner K plan, like the 401k, I do have an owner K. So I
Mm,
have like all of the elements, but I think in terms of like taking it to the next level, What would
Yeah.
you say is the number one thing that someone like me, a vibe spender, should be should be
Vibe
focusing
spender. Listen, I love to spend money too. I am a saver, but I'm also a spender because I believe that if you work hard for your money, you should enjoy it, but enjoy the money you've worked so hard for, but within reason. Like I love a good handbag. I love a good something here and there.
on?
I'm there with you when it comes to spending money. But I think again, it's all about creating a system and a structure that makes it easy for you to succeed without having those mental gymnastics about should I save, should I not save, should I pay this, should I not pay this. And automation is so foundational to success with money, especially in today's age where there's so many things calling for your attention and ways for your money to leave you, right? And bills pop up here and there, unexpected expenses. So I would definitely say that because you're a busy business owner, a busy entrepreneur, maybe you're busy in your career, think about ways you can automate your savings. As soon as you get paid, as soon as the check comes in, the money automatically goes, right? If you are an entrepreneur or you have an inconsistent income, you can just set a reminder. You know when you're sending your invoice out. Set a reminder on your phone. This invoice comes in 30 days. On that 30th day, hey, Bola, transfer 15%, 20% to savings, to investing. So try to create systems to automate your savings so that you don't have to have the mental gymnastics when the money is in your account. Oh, should I save? Oh, I'll save later. I'll spend now. Because what happens is that we never save later. The money, by the time we come around back to wanting to save, the money, the money is gone. And the same way to your 401k plan, whether you're employed or you're an entrepreneur, again, that automation is automatically built in through payroll at your employer. But if you are self-employed and you use a payroll system, you can actually structure your payroll systems that every time you pay yourself a salary, some of that money is going directly to a 401k plan that you have set up. So like there's like payroll systems like Gusto and a few other ones, QuickBooks or something, that you can actually set up your 401k contributions every time you pay yourself, even if you have an inconsistent income. So maybe you're paying yourself once a month, every 6 weeks, whatever it is. As soon as you hit that pay, a percentage of it automatically goes to whatever 401k structure you have set up for yourself. So automation is so important. And the other thing I will say is that don't overwhelm yourself with too many goals because we are all guilty of that.
Mhm.
Um, Focus on 1 to 3 big goals. And as you make progress on them, then you can kind of like shift other things up. But just having a focus so that you're not distracted all over the whole place is good because when you have too many goals, then you're putting minimal effort to all these things because you are spread thin. So your goal could be like, you know what, this year, in the next 12 months, I want to save X amount and pay off X amount of debt and do X amount of things in my business. 3 goals. And just focus on that. Okay, I want to save. That means in the next 12 months, divided by 12, I need to put out this amount into my savings account every month. I need to pay off debt. This is my total debt divided by 12. This is how much I need to put aside towards paying off debt every month. And then my business goal, okay, these are the things I'm going to pursue to get to that goal at the end of the year. 3 straightforward focal points. And then how can I automate? How can I make it easy for me to get the action steps done every week as I'm working towards each of those goals?
I love that you also touched on going back to like your automation. Even as an entrepreneur, I feel like I did a lot of those things when I was a 9 to 5er, but now as an entrepreneur,
Yes.
I didn't think about them. And I use Gusto for my payroll, and my owner K plan is at Edward Jones. I need to see how I can connect those to send some money over there on a monthly basis, the same way that I did when I worked in big corporate. I used to also love a lot of those different apps. I use Digit, I use Acorns. Like I'm not
I
using any
remember Digit.
now. I'm like, but I used to love, especially in Digit. I remember I turned it on. I'd literally turn off notifications. And
And
then
to
if I
just
need to
transfer
withdraw
the
money,
money.
I was like, oh, wait, hold on. I have a little cash money over here. I think I'm going to go to like Sephora or I want to go on a vacation with the girls. I'd have a little money, but it was all automated. And I feel like I've gotten away from a lot of those things. And I think sometimes when you're a high earner, like you don't want to go back to what sometimes you consider being the basics. But the basics sound like that's what kind of slowly but surely helps you accumulate wealth. And like for you, like you are a self-made millionaire and you wrote this incredible roadmap. Is there anything in this book that you wish someone had, I guess, handed to you or taught you at an earlier stage, besides, some generational wealth? But is there anything you wish you
I'll take
had
the
earlier on?
generational wealth.
Yeah.
I will
Besides
take the
that.
generational wealth. I feel like I've been seeing so many arguments on Nepo babies lately. And I'm like, listen, would you be mad if you were a Nepo baby? I
Exactly.
want to create some Nepo babies, but the
Yes.
difference is that I'm going to create babies who can transition that nepotism forward with
Yes.
wisdom and with integrity. Like, who doesn't want to be a trust fund baby? Listen, if anybody wants to adopt me, Diana Ross,
Yes. Yes, I'll take
Whoever, I'm
myself
here.
off too. Either one, anyone in the Ross family, actually.
And out, like Mama Tina,
Yes, please.
anybody. What I wish I was taught, I learned a lot from trial and error. I made a lot of mistakes. I talk about some of the mistakes I made in the book. I think I had to learn these these lessons. And I think sometimes, even when you're taught things, you're still going to go out and make your own mistakes. But honestly, all the books I've written and this book, Clever Girl Millionaire, are the books I wish I had when I was starting out. Because when, as a first generation immigrant, I didn't know anything about the US financial system. I mean, I knew what it was to budget and to invest, but everything was different here. And my parents couldn't necessarily help me because credit is different here. The stock market structure is different here. There were so many things that don't apply where we're coming from or applied in a different way or had different rules and different regulations. So I wish I had more of a foundational basis as to this is how investing works. I wish I knew more about creating, like I talk about here, about pillars of wealth. I talk about earned income, investing, real estate, and entrepreneurship. Not You don't need to have all four to build wealth, but you can combine them. You can use all four. And I wish I had more insight to that starting out. But at the same time, I don't look at that as a disadvantage because I learned it.
Mm.
And despite the mistakes I made, despite the delays in not knowing what I didn't know, I still was able to get to this point. And so that's my goal with this book. It doesn't matter what you don't know. It doesn't matter what you wish you know. It doesn't matter what you're unlearning and relearning. The thing is that you now have the opportunity to do things differently and still achieve your goals.
Got it. When people get this book in their hands, is this a book that you're like, I need you to sit down on Saturday and binge this, like get it all in? Or are you looking for readers like, okay, do a little bit then implement, do a little bit then implement, or a combination? How should folks approach a book like this? And I always like to ask the author this because when this is not like a fantasy book, this is a get your stuff together and build some wealth. I want you to do something after reading it. So, how do you recommend
Yeah.
folks go about processing the information you put together?
So I actually have in the book, I actually have a how to use this book section. I have it in
Oh,
all of my
amazing.
books because
Of course you
that's
do.
a very common question I ask. And for me, you can do whatever you want, right? You can read it all in one go, you can come back to it, but I want you to get the most out of it. And so I want you to look at this book. I'm sharing my story. I'm sharing my journey to becoming a millionaire. I'm sharing practical steps and action tips. After every chapter, there's exercises for you to do. But I want you to make this personal to you. I want this to, so Clever Girl Millionaire, call it Bola's Millionaire Journey, Kimberly's Millionaire Journey. This is for you now. And get a notebook. And as you're reading this book, write down what you are going to implement for you. How I think you make the most out of it. And also keep this book as a resource that you revisit often. So when I first started my financial journey, there was a book that I got by David Back. He is a white man that wrote a book on money for women. It's called Smart Women Finish Rich. Fantastic book. And at the time, it crossed my mind, and I was like, I'm reading a book written by a white guy for women, but there's nothing else for women, so I'm going to buy it anyway. It was a book based on his grandmother building wealth, and it was a fantastic book. And I referenced that book so much, I wore it to shreds.
Oh,
Then
I
I
love
bought it
that.
again. It was so tattered. And so that's what I want for you to do with this book. Like, this is the book I wish I had before I bought that book. So put it in your handbag. Every time you have a thought or a question or something about building wealth, oh, let me go back and see how I can relate that to the book and apply it to my journey to building wealth. So that's my goal, that you use as a reference, use it as a resource, and also that you see yourself in this book. You see the possibility, and then you work towards the possibility of achieving whatever financial status it is you want for yourself. And also, very importantly, thinking about, okay, once I get there, then what, right? Because we all want to build wealth. We all want to be financially stable. We all want to be Nepo babies and trust fund babies. But then what, right?
Mhm.
What is your intent? What is your goal? What legacy do you want to leave behind for whoever or whatever, and whoever being your children, your family, or whatever being your community, etc. That's very important to think about. And the other thing I talk about in here is protecting what you have built, right? We don't often talk about that or think about that, but we hear stories of people who have built so much and they lose everything. So, how are you planning to protect what you have built? Insurance, wills, trusts, etc. And I
Mm.
tell you what I'm doing so that you can think about, okay, what can I do for myself too? So that's my goal with this book. Use it as a reference, write in it, get a notebook right next to it, and leverage this as a plan for yourself.
I love that. I tell my husband as an author, I love when someone brings my book to me and it looks like it's been through. Like I want
Yes.
flags, writing. And he's someone who's like, no, you respect your book. You don't turn down pages. He always tells the story about how his godson got one of his first Harry Potter books. I think he was like 9 or 10. And the book came back to him and it looked like it had been through the mud. And he was so angry.
Gone through
I've had
hell.
this book for 20 years. You're behind has it for 2 weeks. And like he was so upset. So he's so like, oh my gosh, you can't disrespect the book. But I'm like, no, as an author, that shows me that you loved it. Please
Yes.
disrespect it, write in it, flag it, all the things. So I love that. So I want to ask you a little bit more of a personal question. So how has building wealth changed how you show up in the world, especially for you, like in your career and in your business?
It's given me options. And I think that's a really great question because now, there's a lot of, and this is Bola's opinion, but I see a lot of people talking about, oh, complaining about things,
Mm.
complaining about administrations and the system and the man and complaining and complaining. And it's great to complain, to put your voice to it. But when you have money, you can take action. And that action is more tangible and that action drives impact. You building wealth gives you options where you can walk away from situations that don't serve you. You can choose to put your money elsewhere to drive certain initiatives and drive certain goals. And so for me, the biggest thing with building wealth has been options. I choose to do something or not to do something. I can walk away from something and it's not going to hurt me. It's not going to affect my mental health because it's not a good fit for me. And that's the biggest thing. I think that's what makes money important. It's not everything. Life goes on, right? There's things that are more important, your health, your happiness, your peace of mind. But you having money as a tool gives you options, and options drive impact. And that's very important to me. So yes, I also complain about things that are not working well, but but I can do more in the sense that I can say, you know what, my money is not coming here, but my money is going to go over there, and I'm going to be able to drive impact that way. And so that's important to me.
I love that. My sister and I had a conversation just the other day, and she was talking about how like people always say that money can't buy happiness. She's like, but when you have options, you are happier. When you
Yes.
can handle life's little things. I think the older we get, I remember when like out of college, it was like, oh my gosh, like I just needed to have like $100, right? And that could solve almost anything, right? $100 was fine. Now at how old am I? 38. I'll be 39 this summer. Even $1,000 doesn't feel like that much. Like most of my problems, if I were to have a problem today, I need more than 1,000 to fix it. Like, but the more money you have, the more wealth you have. It's the option to care for yourself. It's the option to still feel safe. It's the option to be able to maintain your lifestyle. I remember when I got divorced years ago, one of the things I said to myself was like, I am not going to like lose the lifestyle that I built for myself because I'm going through this divorce. Because a lot of women who go through divorce, it's
Yeah.
devastating. You're already going through the emotional trauma. Now you got the financial mess. You have lawyers. You got bills. You got all these things. I was like, what I will not do is have to like sacrifice where I live, like the little luxuries that I like. Like I'm going to make sure that I make enough money to sustain that. So that's one of the things I'm really proud about. It's like, no, no, no. I kept my high-rise apartment on the 21st floor overlooking Newark with New York City and downtown Jersey views. Like, and I was able to do that. And like, and that's what building some wealth and building some money for myself was able to do. I had the option to continue to sustain my lifestyle going from two incomes to one. So,
Yeah.
one of my final questions for you, my second to last question for you, is for the woman who's been playing it safe with her money. The woman's like, "Girl, I hear you, but like investing, all of that, like I think I'm gonna just stay under this mattress. Like that's what grandma said to do. That's what we're about to do." And I mean, playing safe, like it could be in literally money under the mattress, because I know some people who still do that right now because there's lots of,
I know too,
hoopla.
yes.
Yep. And also the person who's like, you know what? Things are crazy. I don't even want to grow my career. I don't want to go for that promotion because like more money, more problems. I'm just gonna stay here. What is your message to that person?
I mean, that safety is your comfort zone. I say in the back of the book, saving money is safety, building wealth is freedom, right? Your
Ooh.
comfort zone is cozy and nice, but is that really where you want to be? Like, going back to what I said earlier about thinking about your big vision and what you truly want for yourself. That goal that seems so far out of reach, it sounds crazy, right? How bad do you want that goal? Because you need to step out of your comfort zone to achieve it. And investing your money is how you build wealth because your money is working for you. You can only earn so much when you are exchanging your time for money and you're putting it under your mattress, or you're putting it in a bank account that has barely no interest and is being eaten away every year by inflation. So it'll keep you safe and cozy. You'll be able to pay your rent, But I'm sure you have bigger goals for yourself. I'm sure there's like some big audacious goals that cross your mind and that even make you shy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you have some big audacious goals that they cross your mind, you've never told anybody, and they make you shy when you think about them because they're like, wow, I'm thinking that. You should pursue that goal. And that means you have to step out of your comfort zone and you have to put your money to work for you. And you have to have those difficult career conversations and make those difficult career moves and business moves to be able to get there. And it's not going to work out as seamlessly as you expect. It's going to be difficult. There are going to be roadblocks. It's going to be challenging. You're going to get a lot of no's, but you have to be intentional about moving forward. So, my challenge to you, lady listening, with the money under your mattress, keeping it safe, not investing, how bad do you want that big, audacious goal that crosses your mind every now and then? Because if you want it bad enough, now it's time to do things differently and put your money to work for you and start taking those intentional steps and actions that are going to get you closer to that goal where it doesn't seem crazy anymore. It's realistic.
I love that. When I work with my clients, I do this exercise called the ideal day. Like, what is the ideal day when you've achieved all your goals and how does that feel? But I was on my phone looking. I just saw this thing on Instagram that I want to share because I think it kind of ties into like your response. So there's a 20-minute exercise from Stanford that's called the Odyssey Plan. Have you heard of it?
No,
I didn't hear about it
tell
until
me.
today. So essentially, they want you to imagine three completely different versions of yourself in the next 5 years. And it's a challenge because most time we just think about like, this is where I want to be, but we don't think about three versions. So the first version is if you do nothing different, same job, same routine, same direction, like where would you be in 5 years? The second plan is design a life that's totally different. Like, what would happen if you took a risk, if you switched jobs, moved to a new place? Like, where does that version leave you in 5 years? And the last one, which I think is probably the most freeing, which is kind of what we're talking about with wealth building, like how do you take that risk? How do you do the next thing? Challenge yourself to do more, is build a future where money and other people's opinions don't matter. If nothing was stopping you, what would you actually create? And this Odyssey plan, like I saved this that I can journal about it for myself because I've never thought about like three different outcomes. It
Yeah.
forces you to ask yourself the bigger questions and see all three. It's not just this one goal. It's like these are the three paths that I could take. And they say that it really leads to you doing more because you see that there's more options for yourself versus just one.
That's interesting because I remember in college, right? I took all night classes because I stayed up all night. I don't think I ever woke up before 12 noon. It was so difficult. And so when I started my first job and I had to be at work at like 8, 7:45, I remember thinking to myself, like, what is this? Like, who does this? Why am I here at 7? I cannot do this long term. This is not a life. I
Oh
was like,
my
max
goodness.
2 years.
I love that.
I was like, this is nonsense. Who comes to work who wakes up at 6? And so
Insane.
I saw myself differently. Obviously, it didn't work out that way because I still have to wake up early. But I see what you're saying because in a more realistic example, I remember when I was working full time and my kids were small. So I was working full time. I remember I was like, I don't want to miss my kids' events at school. I don't want to miss their first steps or when their first tooth falls. I don't want to miss all those moments. And I know that doing this job, which pays me a good amount of money, is bringing me this money in, but I'm going to miss these steps if I'm here at this job. Not that having a full time job is bad, but this was just me thinking in terms of what I wanted for myself, right? And that was part of my motivation for wanting to start my own business and earn money, in addition to me wanting to help people. Like my passion was first, but then what I wanted for myself out of this passion was second. And I think that was part of what drove me to really pursue and keep pivoting and testing everything in my business so that I could take my kids to school in the morning. I could be there for all of the events. I can spend all summer with them. I have the choices now. And that's what I was able to do. So I love that idea of you said the Odyssey plan where you think
Mhm.
about where you want to be. Like for me, it was not having to sit at a desk and deal with a boss that I hated. And I've been in that situation, or coworkers that irritate the hell out of me, but I have to
Mhm.
work on a project with you. I want to have a choice to be like, you know what? I'm not doing that. No, you are fired.
Oh my, we all have that person who we immediately think of. There used to be a girl at one of the jobs. I almost used her name, so I'm not gonna say it. But she was such a tattle, such a tattle. Like she would come behind you and like watch you type something. She'd like,
What?
yes, then she'd run back and tell the boss. She would hear you in like a little
Huh?
conversation and run back. I remember one time we were talking about something that was happening, and we're like, "Oh, we really hope we don't have to come in tomorrow. Like this is ridiculous." Da 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 da. And we saw her because she was like lurking in the corner. She ran and told the boss so fast. Next thing you know, an email came out. Well, we're really gonna need everybody to da 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 da. And we're like, you moments like that make me realize, like, no, 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 I need to be an entrepreneur because I don't think I have the patience in me to not check you where you stand for doing things like
Yeah.
that
And
in the corporate
some
world.
situations in the workplace, honestly, were just so stupid. I'm like,
Oh
you're a
yeah.
grown adult and you're behaving like you're 2 years old. Come on. I remember when there was my very last job, I had become the queen of negotiating, right? I negotiated
Mhm.
everything
Yes.
because I heard my boss make a statement. They had been trying to fill my job for 2 years because of the skill set required. And he mentioned it when he introduced me to somebody, this is Bola. We're hoping she joins the team. We've been trying to fill that role for 2 years. I'm like, 2 years? So I negotiated my salary. At the time, nobody worked from home. I negotiated working from home once a week. I negotiated
Mhm.
Mac. Everybody had a Windows system. And I negotiated a new ergonomic chair. And there was some coworker there. He was a supervisor. He was higher than my level. And he made a comment and he was so jealous about me getting this chair and he just wouldn't let this chair go every time he came to my desk, my chair and my computer. Oh, you have a Mac. Oh, you have a $2,000 chair. I'm like, yeah, because I asked for it. What is like? This is so stupid. Go to the boss's office over there and tell him you were the supervisor. Go tell him you want an ergonomic chair or you're the manager, whatever.
Yeah.
Why are you so mad? This is so dumb.
I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. Well, I could clearly talk to you all day. I'm so excited that we have you on the podcast. I know I was on your podcast years ago,
You
but I
need
was
to
like,
come back soon too.
yes, yes, maybe when my next book, when I get it together, when I get to two, then then I'll come
You
on
don't
back.
need to get it together to be on the podcast. You have real life working experience. You just said you were a high earner. People want to know how you were able to do that. We want to talk about that on the podcast.
I appreciate that. Well, whenever you want me back, but I just want to thank you. I appreciate you. I'm so happy to have you. I cannot wait to see this book in people's hands. So, as always, you have to ask the final question, like, where can our listeners find you, grab your book, and stay connected with everything you and Clever Girl Finance?
Yes, you can find the book. It's called Clever Girl Millionaire everywhere books are sold, ebook, physical book, audiobook. Details are on the Clever Girl Finance website, clevergirlfinance.com. That's my website address, social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, at Clever Girl Finance. And I'd love for you to stop by, support this book, join our awesome community. We have over 30 plus completely free courses. We have a really engaged audience of women who participate and are achieving big things when it comes to their goals. So I'd love for you to be a part of it as well.
We will put all those links in the show notes. Thank you, Bola. And as always, everyone listening, may your next move be your very best move.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Your Next Move podcast. If this episode has helped you get clearer on how to get seen as a leader, speak with influence, and step into rooms where you belong, please share it with a colleague or friend who needs to hear it too. And if you're ready to develop a speaker brand that opens doors and attracts the right opportunities, head to kimberlybonline.com/TVS-waitlist to explore how we can work together. Until next time.